everybody, Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the extraordinary honor of having the opportunity to catch up with a good old friend from Finger 11, Sean Anderson. Yay!
Hey, how are you?
Outstanding, outstanding, Sean. Well, it's so exciting. There's so much great stuff happening. The last time we chatted, for those of you that were paying attention, 2023 Greatest Hits was going live. Now, for the first time in almost a decade, we have a new album being released, Last Night on Earth. Definitely want to talk a bit about that, but bring us up to date. What's been going on since we last chatted in 2023?
We've just been working on that album, was basically what we've been doing, and then doing sort of still continuing to play gigs. We did a big tour last summer. We were on the Creed tour. They were doing amphitheaters, and that was Creed, Three Doors Down and Us, and that was fantastic. That was a lot of fun. So very lucky to be on that. Got treated extremely well. The audiences were great. So yeah, that was such a treat to be on that. And that took, that was from July to September, right? And in between, sort of working on finishing up the songs for this record, which took place, I guess, I don't know if we're diving into talking about that yet or not, but that's pretty much what we've been doing, sort of like, that was the most consistent touring we did. And then after that, it was sort of kind of weekend warrior stuff, to be honest. Which is great. I mean, I love it all. I mean, the long tours are fun, but it's one of those be careful what you wish for things, I think, right?
Getting too busy, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And when it's not there and somebody is all of a sudden like, oh, is this ever going to happen again? You never know, right? So
indeed. It's been quite a hiatus between the last album and now Last Night on Earth, and been listening to the videos and watching. There seems to be quite a visual impact with a lot of this. And I remember when we were talking about greatest hits, there was kind of a focus on artwork and things that were going on with the vinyl set and all that. And now with this music, colors, whether it's blue and blue sky or red and adrenaline or black and white on one thing, I'm sucked in by the visual impact as well as the music itself. Tell us the kind of general theme with the album. What's coming across there?
So I think the artwork, you kind of see like a mountain, and I think we have a song called The Mountain. We also have a song called Last Night on Earth, and that's where the album title is coming from. But a lot of the visuals are from our guitar player, James, who spends a lot of time, coming up with ideas and doing that. And we saw what he had done there. And we're like, this looks fantastic. I really love the artwork for this album. And so it's great for James because he's very artistic. He gets to express himself that way as well as musically. This is, great songwriter, guitar player as well. So this is an album that we're very proud of. We're excited for people to hear it. I know every band says that, but I think at the end of the day, you have to please yourself, right? And like you said before, it'd been, I think 2015 was the last time we did. I don't know where 10 years went. If somebody said, how come it took you so long? I don't know the answer to that. Didn't feel that long in some fashion, but it's coming out November 7th.
Yes.
So we're really excited to play it. Just started playing a couple songs off it now, putting in the set and just slowly bringing some songs. I think one of the standouts will be The Mountain. Looking forward to playing that live.
Nice. Well, and I've been reading, it's kind of interesting that the approach to the songwriting has somewhat of a democratic environment where everybody is contributing to the whole process. How exactly does that work?
So it can be where somebody has an idea, bring it kind of a demo, whether it's like a Pro Tools file, like, hey, here's what I was thinking, and everybody can kind of expand on that. Or, oh, you know what? I like that part. That's a cool verse. Maybe we need a better chorus, that kind of thing. Or this side, that idea, hey, I have something that might go with that. So that's the kind of thing that kind of goes on. We're lucky that in Steve, the drummer, he's also, produces other acts and stuff like that. So he's great for being a part of the team and putting that hat on, right? And he's a great songwriter in his own right. And I think, like I mentioned before, Jay's, I think, a great writer. And then Rick, our other guitar player, is also, I guess everybody's a great writer.
There we go.
He's a wonderful, he has a good sensibility. You can hear something and go, it's missing this. He's kind of, I would say, without like, he's not Rick Rubin, obviously, but he kind of reminds me of that kind of style. It's like, you know what? I listened to it last night and I feel like it's missing this. And then kind of like, oh, okay, what is that? And, we go back, dig in and that kind of thing. So it works, Scott does most of the lyrics. My brother, he's the singer and he's open to suggestions too, but he'll be very, with lyrics, it's definitely much more of a personal thing, I think.
Sure.
So, but having said that, I think it's a nice balance of everybody being able to contribute. And that goes so that's not just, it goes for parts as well. It could be like, hey, the bass part, what if it did this? What if it, that's cool, but what if, that kind of thing. So, and that goes for anything. So there might have been a time where it's like, this is my part and I'm putting that on there. I don't care what anybody else says. It doesn't work that way anymore. And I think probably it's better that way in the end.
Nice. Well, and it does show a great, I'm going to say, compatibility where the egos can be put aside and constructive contribution can happen. And a lot of times, again, with creatives, it's like, no, it has to be this way, or no, it has to be this way. And, the emotions can get in the way of kind of in that collaboration of coming up with, a much more refined and brilliant end result.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, you do also have to fight for your ideas. So it's like, I feel pretty strongly about this.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe, it's like you live with it and go, oh man, maybe he's right. Maybe so-and-so is right at the end. Or no, I think, or they come back and go, okay, I see where you were coming from.
Nice. Well, and because this is covering a decade, and I often feel that musicians are many times kind of voicing what's going on in the world, what's going on in life, where we are as a species, if you will. But these last 10 years have had a lot of interesting challenges. So if we're encompassing some of those feelings, do you feel that does this album address some of what we've been feeling during this last decade, or is it more esoterically kind of off in the creative realm?
It might be a bit off in the creative realm.
Okay.
I think if anything, there's nothing overt messaging wise or anything like that. I think that's Scott's style for sure. So I can only speak. There's a song called Wall Dogs, which I had a demo of, and it was one of those things I gave to the guys. Said, hey, what do you think? And 9 times out of 10, people go, oh, cool. And it doesn't, it's like, yeah, that's cool. It may not go everywhere. Everybody has those in the band, so it's tough to get something in front of everybody where it's like, oh, yeah, this is something we can work on. But Rick, actually, one of our guitar players, Rick, he took it and kind of had Jay and Scott record vocals and guitar on it. And he kind of, it was Christmas. I forget when it was, but he sent it to me for Christmas. And I was like, oh, wow, this is so cool. It was like a demo of my little song. And, Scott and Jay had played on it. And that was a few years ago. And it's kind of kicked around. And we went up to a cottage and Steve took it and we worked through, the arrangement, added a bridge. So anyway, long story short, it's become a song on the record. And I didn't know, I didn't think it would make it that far. And Scott was like happy to sing it. So that's always, if I had written something, it's like, I can't, that's not what I want to sing about. But the story about it is kind of like, it's loosely inspired on a visit to Berlin and the Berlin Wall in that era.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's one of those things that talks about kind of a struggle between kind of a young lovers in a sense, right? I mean, it's not exactly historical, but so there's some themes there that, you could extrapolate to different things that are maybe going on today, but have also gone on in the past, right?
Gotcha.
I would say in general, there's nothing that's on the nose.
It's left to open interpretation, if you will.
Yeah. But
Nice.
having said that, I mean, I think there's definitely room for artists like Neil Young, U2, those artists that have something to say. And,
Yes.
and it's also fun. It's like others, it's like, yeah, we're making rock. It's a fun rock song. I think it's, I don't agree when somebody says like, oh, they should just play the music and not talk about this. Like, well, if that's what an artist wants to talk about,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to limit that. I don't want to limit what they're able to talk about. So,
Sure. Well, and if you think of even like in graphic arts, you could paint portraits or you could paint landscapes. It's kind of as you're selecting, depending what you're feeling. And some of portraits, one that always comes to mind is Pablo Picasso's Guernica, where it was this big mural that happened during the Spanish Civil War, and it was expressing the angst. But Pablo, by the same token, did ceramics and other little bits, and okay, everything is not heavy. There's that expressive part that needs to come out as well. So very
right.
cool. And sound wise, I remember the last time we talked, you were playing on Lickland basses, 5 strings. Looks like the good old Mesa Boogie amp system is still kicking and pushing air.
Yeah.
Anything new in the arsenal that you've brought, any changes you've made to your sound?
Not really. I mean, in the studio, and that means basically Steve's basement, he had a P bass that we used on a few tracks.
Okay.
So there were times where I used the 5 string, like then sometimes we'd use the 4 string. Just it had a great sound. But sort of like, okay, this is what this song could use. Let's try that. But like I said, that's not really coming out of the road. That's his sort of his studio bass. And yeah, I haven't really changed anything setup wise.
Cool.
Probably might entertain the idea of some kind of, I don't know, overdrive or some little distortion. I might need a little bit of grit for a couple of the songs. I've resisted a lot of effects, but yeah, there's no reason why I guess I shouldn't be able to explore a few things like that. My pedal board consists of a tuner right now.
I remember, yes. And the beauty of simplicity is that if something's not working and you only have one thing to look at, you can kind of tell what it is
Yeah,
that's not working.
yeah.
So, indeed, on the new release of the album, I know you guys have tours happening here in the US, kind of September to October. Then there's going to be a run in Canada, November to December kind of thing. Is it you're going to focus mostly on the new album, or is it going to be a mixture of new and old and all that?
Oh, definitely a mix. There's a song called Slow Chemical that we haven't done live for a while. We're trying to get that going again. Because you look at Spotify, it's like, oh, this is still it's a popular song. We'd like to be able to play that.
Yeah.
To see how, if we can bring that in. And obviously, there's stuff in our back catalog that we want to keep there. So I think, when it's an hour set or something like that, that's for the Canadian tour, because it's like 3 bands that are kind of sharing equal time. So an hour set, I think it'll be a bit of a challenge. It's sort of like figuring out what to play. So obviously not playing, not too much new stuff,
Gotcha.
right? Just a couple of key things. I think that's what we'll do.
Nice. And after this year, after all this touring, is there any long-term plans? Anything else in the works?
I hear that it's possible we might be going, they're trying to do something in the UK of fall 2026. I mean, that's a year away. I don't know how that's working, but that would be wonderful. You look at our streaming stuff and there's a lot going on in Australia. And I think it'd be so cool if we could get a chance to go there. I don't know how, we'll see. Obviously it's far, I understand it's probably expensive to go and that, right? But I think that would be cool. But other than that, yeah, we don't have any there's no real roadmap for 2026. I think it's sort of wait and see how things unfold with the release of the album.
Nice. Well, and if people want to know what you guys are up to, where's the best place to look so that they can stay on top of it? And in the event that you do show up in Australia, that they'd like to know, where should they look?
That is a good question. I would say we do have an Instagram. I'm not that active on it. Probably should start to do more on social media. Like Rick, our one guitar player, does a lot more on social media and stuff. I know we have finger11.com, but I don't know if people now go more to I think people go to Instagram and that more than, let's say, websites.
Yeah.
I find Spotify does a pretty good job of telling me like who's in town type of thing. That notification is like, oh, okay. So I that just from my personal experience, like, oh, okay. It knows I've been listening to whatever and then see that, oh, okay, I didn't know they were coming or whatever. So hopefully they could do the same for us. But
Nice. Well, again, for those of us that like to plan in advance, and it is kind of it's so crazy because as time goes by, the way we approach things based on our age, I still look at websites. Just because that's what we did.
yes.
But a lot of the young people, don't never look at a website. It's either Instagram or TikTok or whatever is going on at the particular moment, and they fall out of grace and people stop looking there. So again, it's hard to keep up. And if you're doing good music and you're doing exactly the things that you love to do, social media wouldn't be at the top of anybody's priorities. Going, oh,
But it can see, I understand it's one of those things for me personally. I don't do a lot of it, but at the same time, I understand that it could be pretty valuable
absolutely.
for a musician or a band and that. So it's something. And again, there are members of our band that are a lot more active on those
Gotcha.
platforms than, let's say, myself. But maybe I have to start pulling my weight.
Everybody can pitch in, but then again, also everybody has their strengths. So if you're doing something more of something else, let them play with that. Well, we're very excited about Last Night on Earth, both album and upcoming touring, folks. Make sure that you check out Finger 11 at hopefully at a venue near you, because this tour that is pending here for the U.S. and Canada, it looks like you guys are going to be covering a lot of distance there, so that should be
Yeah.
making it opportune for many folks. You've seen him here again on Bass Musician Magazine. Thank you so much for taking time, Sean Anderson.
Thank you.